Miss Samantha Brown, hello, how are you?
Hi, I am good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat today.
Yeah, we were just talking about the fact that we're both Toronto based. I was curious because, I'm doing my research about you. It never actually said, are you from Toronto originally?
I am from Toronto
Okay.
originally. Yes, born and raised.
Love it, love it. So you've been tortured with our sports teams and everything. You know the culture.
It's a wild ride. Yeah.
It definitely is. I also wanted to preface it was really funny when I was doing my research that I'm going through your IMDb and I'm looking at the pictures. And I think it was a recent film that you did called My Husband's Baby, right?
Yes.
And there you were in a two shot with my good friend Rob Notman, who I believe played your lawyer. He was amazing there.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. What a small world. He's amazing.
Oh, and he had nothing but nice things to say about you. I was trying to get, like, do you have a cool story that I can break the ice with? And he goes, I was only there for a couple hours. She was really nice though. And I go,
Yeah,
okay,
he
well,
was
I'll tell her
great.
that.
I think that was our first day too. So it was just great to work with someone that was so kind on your first day of
I'll
shoot.
love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, well, we were curious about Toronto, and I think it's really cool that From, in a lot of senses, is a Canadian production, right? Lots of Canadian actors, lots of Canadian crew members, shot in Canada as well. You got to work with some amazing local talent, including this season, Mr. Bruce McDonald. Yeah, who's a fairly prolific Canadian director.
Yes.
What can you tell me about the experiences you had working with Bruce?
Yeah, so something that I'm learning in my television career is, you do work with different directors over the course of a season. And so when I was hired on the show, I started to work with Jack for the first couple of episodes. And then we had a different director, and then Bruce came in for 2 episodes. And his energy is, I've never met anyone like him. He is so kind, soft spoken, so warm, but he's also direct and knows exactly what he wants. And so that balance I really appreciate. You never feel like you're letting him down. And he's just great to work with. You feel safe that you can make choices and not feel stupid. And he's a great collaborator.
Oh, that's amazing. And
Yeah.
just for American viewers, Bruce also, I think he didn't write the movie, but he kind of reinvented the zombie genre with Pontypool. More people need to check out that movie. And I thought,
Yeah.
as soon as I saw his name on the credits, I went, that is a perfect choice for this series. So,
Yes.
yeah, good
He
fit.
fit right in. Yeah.
You've spoken about being part of the FROMily, and you've mentioned in past interviews there are specific cast members who definitely went out of their way to make you feel welcome. I saw a TikTok that I think Ricky filmed, where it was almost the whole cast out for dinner, and you were screaming about that was my callback. That's the one thing that we can hear from you. Do you remember what the story
Oh,
was that you were telling?
I I don't remember the story, but I will say about my callback specifically was I wasn't aware at the time that I was the only person that was called back. So I wish I had known that because I was very stressed and I was like, oh, I'm still up against probably 20 other people. But it was Jack Bender in my callback. And I was probably referring to the fact that usually for callbacks, you kind of go over the scene a bunch of different times. They want to see if you can stretch in your range. But with Jack specifically, it was more so a conversation. And I really got the sense looking back now that they really wanted to see if you could fit in with the rest of the cast because none of us are based out of Halifax. We don't live there. So we spend, 5 months of our lives out there. And they really want to make sure that you could sort of fit in socially with the rest of the cast, that you're a kind person, you're a team player. And so I was probably speaking to that the callback was a little bit unorthodox in comparison to my other ones.
Gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting because obviously the series prides itself on its secrets. Acosta is definitely a character who has her secrets as well. So even during the callback or during the audition process, were you even allowed to ask any questions about it, or did you have to kind of construct answers if you didn't necessarily know something about her?
Right. It's a good question. All I was told at the time I was auditioning, even before the callback, was she's a rookie police officer from Camden, Maine. That's all I knew. And in my callback with Jack, all he said was, yes, Acosta definitely goes on a wild ride. So that was the only information I had at the time. With the nature of the show, you really don't know what's going on. And so every time you open up a new script, you're like, am I in this episode? Do I die this episode? What am I doing in this episode? So it definitely keeps you on your toes and flexible as an actor.
I love it. Well, speaking of which, the biggest secret, and again, you've mentioned this in other interviews, is you keep talking about the fact you can't really talk about her first name. But
Right.
can I ask, do you know her first name?
Yeah, so I want to clear this up. So, I was asked in an interview what my character's first name is, and all I simply said was, I can't answer anything that's not in the final show. So if it hasn't happened in the show, I can't speak on it. So I do know my character's first name, but that doesn't mean that it means anything in particular. It's just I can't speak on something that hasn't aired
Okay.
because I don't want to get fired. So it could mean something, it could not mean something. But yeah, I don't want people to like get their expectations high on something that could not be a significant plot point. So that is the clarification
I
on that.
love it. Oh, good, good. You're
Okay.
crossing off at least one mystery because the
Yes.
fans, yes,
Yes.
are
Okay.
definitely taking that. Well, okay, let's talk about her last name because here's one of my crazy theories.
Okay.
We know that the writers of this show are very intelligent people who obviously are working on different layers and levels as they create this. Acosta means from the coast. And it also referred to, here's my history lesson, people who in Spain would live in the mountains. So to me, that made me think of either Acosta could be one of the people who lived in that village where they found the food now, right by the
Mm.
river, or she could be in the mountains or from the mountains that basically I felt were kind of the overlords who were messing with Jim at one point and talking to him on the radio and saying, his wife shouldn't be digging right now, et cetera, et cetera. So what's your take at least on that theory? I know you can't clear it up, but
Right. Yeah, no, that is, I did the exact same research you did. And I also sort of feel like there's something there. I also have seen some theories and I am on board with some of them, some like water, like something to do with water, right? And, when I think in episode 5, she's talking to Boyd about there was like a flood in her town, right? And like Acosta means on the coast. And then some people have talked about, the bathtub with Elgin and the tea. And so, yeah, I'm wondering if there's some type of water element, but I honestly have no idea. But I did the same research that you did.
oh, I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. Well, I've spoken to Harold before, and he and I were talking about one of his other more famous roles, Mercutio, where we said that obviously in a Baz Luhrmann film, everything is out there, right? There's no subtlety or layers necessarily to that character just because it's all on the surface, as opposed to Boyd, where he keeps a lot of stuff internal, close to the vest. And Acosta seems like a very similar character. So what's the appeal of playing a character where you get to keep secrets and you get to kind of internalize?
Yeah, it's, Costa is unlike any character I've ever played and very much not like my own self because, when you play a character that's on the front lines, whether you're an EMT, a doctor, a police officer, you have to have a mask when you show up to work, right? You have to use the left side of your brain, be very logical in a situation, suppress your emotions because you are showing up to arguably the most chaotic moment of someone's life and you're trying to help them. So you have to remain logical and sort of suppress your emotions. And I feel like we see that with her this season for sure, is she does have some sort of outburst moments, but she has killed someone and taken a life. And that I can't even imagine what that would be like. And so she has all of these emotions swirling inside of her, but she doesn't really have a confidant that she can sort of talk. Like that would take years of therapy to even get through. And she doesn't have anyone in the town to sort of talk to. So I even think the diner scene with Kenny, when she sort of has that outburst at the end, like she probably hates herself for having that outburst and losing her cool. But it was the first time she was able to sort of just let loose and, sort of get everything out that she's been feeling over the course of what's been going on in From. So I do like this sort of journey that she's going on where she's trying to keep stuff close to the vest and she can't really trust anyone, but then does have these sort of moments of letting it all out.
On a very similar note, now obviously you're getting a fan reaction to Acosta. You're seeing a lot of people don't trust her, right? A lot of people were really upset with the way that she came in, tried to take control, or was chewing out Boyd at one point. And what I love about and what I've kind of learned as an entertainment journalist is that when a character gets a reaction like that, even if it's negative, it still means that you as an actor are doing a good job because you're
Mm.
getting a reaction out of them. Was there an appeal or was there a little bit of a maybe an internal giggle knowing that you got to come into this show on a third season and for lack of a better term, get to play kind of a shit disturber?
Yeah, I love that question. Yeah, like what I've learned in my acting journey is you never try to play the likable character. Like that's not my job. My job is to just do service to the writing and be truthful. And whatever the audience makes out of that, the audience makes out of that. And I do think it's fun to play a character that is polarizing and has an opinion and sticks up for what she thinks is right, whether people like that or not. I also think that's why I personally watch television, is to see characters make mistakes and learn and grow. It'd be really boring if you just watched a show and every character was making these incredible decisions. You would have no conflict.
Right.
So I enjoy that aspect of Acosta, where she's not perfect. She makes mistakes. She can get confrontational. She breeds a little bit of chaos. I think that just adds to the show.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So last question. Just want your quick reaction on some of the fan theories, right? That
Okay.
we touched on mine, but I know you can't reveal anything, but just whether you think it's fun, whether you think it's crazy, whether you would love to play this. Okay, here we go. So you are possibly the reincarnation of Boyd's wife, Abby.
Very interesting. I have seen that. I don't know, but very interesting. I see why people think that.
Okay. Acosta and Kenny will likely have a romantic entanglement as long as they both survive.
Yeah, I mean, she's only been there 3 days, so I don't think love is currently on her mind. But I am excited to explore that dynamic between the two of them, because I think they're similar in some ways, but very different. And I feel like he could perhaps like break down some of her walls and bring out a softer side to her. So I'm excited to explore that.
Nice, nice. I love that a lot of people were talking about that Kenny apparently has a type, that he likes a woman in uniform.
No.
A lot of people were
wow. So if she takes her uniform off, he's going to be like, forget her.
And that's actually my next question, because a lot of people were asking, is Acosta ever going to change out of her uniform?
Well, it's only been 3 days for her,
right?
But I understand why people want to know that. I think too, the way I'm justifying it is she's not wearing her uniform to try to prove something. She's just wearing her uniform because she's still semi in denial that she really is stuck here. Like, I think she genuinely believes that, within an hour, she's going to find some little pocket of service and be able to contact and get help. So she hasn't come around to the fact that this really is her new world yet. So when she takes off the uniform, then it's like, okay, she gets it.
That's a good visual cue. I like that. I'm going to look forward to that. Okay.
Yeah.
And here's one of my favorites that somebody else came up with. Does Acosta know who was responsible for causing the accident that put Tabitha and Henry in an ambulance? Does she know who was driving the other car?
Ooh, I don't think so. Okay. And yeah, I don't think so, because I feel like you probably wouldn't really get that information until after everything has been investigated. She obviously isn't investigating it because her job is to bring Tabitha back to the hospital. So I don't think she knows that.
Okay.
That's the way I'm playing it.
Love it. Well, Samantha, congratulations. Love seeing Toronto talent, obviously, get bigger opportunities like this. You're killing it as far as I'm concerned. Fingers crossed we see you in season 4. Fingers crossed we haven't been officially renewed for season 4. Yes. So fingers crossed on both of those. But thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Real students, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe to Real School, click that round Real School logo right beside me. Also, click that damn notification bell so you're aware of all of Real School's new content. You can follow me on Twitter, and of course, if you get anything out of Real School, you can always give a little back. Just click the link in the description below or the button down there, and you can become part of my Patreon team.